Yeah.
These are the
love it.
light bulb moments in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and this was one of them. So, 2006, 2007, the NBA All-Star Games in Houston. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the clubs, all the popular places shut down. Their celebrities, basketball players, everybody having a good time everywhere you go, right? And my buddy's wife at the time was going to college at Rice, and she said there's a bunch of, you know, they call and she's heading home, something like that, and it's like there's a bunch of people making a big deal about some basketball player at Rice University. So my buddy, I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I'm hanging out with my buddy at his house. It's in Bel Air. We just shoot over to Rice. I'm wondering what's going on. And Kobe Bryant is sitting in the Rice Gym University shooting 1,000 free throws. And I think this guy is at this time, there was no question Kobe Bryant was the best player in the NBA. If you don't think so in this time, you're just a hater. He was dominating basketball.
Right.
Yeah.
And he wasn't at a party. He wasn't hanging out with his boys. He wasn't whatever. He knew that if he wanted to stay the best player in the NBA, he had to do something that everybody else wasn't willing to do. Yep. He had to shoot 1,000. He had five days off, I think is what they get, 4 days, something like that. He has this time where he doesn't have to be he just gets to go have fun with his buddies and whatever else. And he chose to go to Rice University and shoot 1,000 free throws while everybody else was having a good time. And people go, well, you know, maybe he was just naturally gifted. No. There's no question. Mm-hmm. He wanted it more than everybody else in the room. He knew he was going to be the most prepared. He knew he was going to sacrifice whatever it took to make sure that there was no question who the MVP was, who the best player on the planet was, and try to make an argument to be the best player of all time.
Yep.
And that stuck with, dude, it was huge for me. I thought, damn, so I will do this periodically. I'll ask myself when I'm struggling with something or I can't overcome something or my mind isn't in the right place, I'll ask myself, you going to quit or you going to go shoot 1,000 free throws?
Right.
Because I understand the importance of when the time nobody expects you to keep going, that's when it makes a difference, right? That's when that last 1 to 3%, it just makes all the difference. And that's where most people quit. And that's where the aha moment is for a lot of people, right? A lot of these people, I've never had a light bulb moment. You got to push yourself.
Yeah.
You got to get uncomfortable, because if you don't and you stay in your comfort zone, you can't really grow. And if you can't grow and you can't struggle and you can't whatever, those light bulb moments don't come.
Yeah,
and
sure.
That was that moment for me where I'm just sitting here thinking like, this guy got every reason in the world to take the next even if it was just maybe not go out, but maybe just sit catch up on TV, spend time with his kids, whatever else. No, he put the time in and whatever else, and he got the result that he wanted.
Right.
There's only one person on the planet that can say I'm the best basketball player on the planet right now.
Right.
And he was determined to make decisions every single day to make sure that it was his name when people had the conversation.
So that's a really good point. But I'd also be interested in your thought on balance, because I think balance is key. So what I'm trying to get at is there's a consequence for everything you do in life, whether it be deciding to be the best basketball player in the world, best dad in the world, whatever it may be. Kobe Bryant could have been spending time with his kids, but he decided to shoot free throws. What is your thought on balance?
A man much smarter than me came to me one time and told me a pretty simple phrase. He said, never let your balance get out of balance. And I thought, well, that's really smart. Easy to say, really hard to do.
Yeah.
Because most people, when we talk about something like this, we have this argument in a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
And balance meaning what? So I know I got to provide for my family.
Yep.
I know I want to retire at some point. I've got all these goals, and all these goals have different times to reach them, right?
Right.
And so what do I need to sacrifice now to get the intended result?
Mm-hmm.
And so it depends on how you look at balance. Do you need to work 80 hours a week for 6 months to make the best project in the best community in NFTs so that when you're done, you can reap the reward and now potentially put yourself, what do you want? A lot of times people trade what they want now for what they want most.
I
And
like
so
that a lot.
you got to be careful with balance, because balance can also be used as an excuse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've worked a lot today. It's okay. It won't make a difference,
Yep.
or whatever, right? So, as important as balance is, we got to be careful not to use it as a crutch, right?
Right.
Because it's easy to go, what's my ultimate goal? My ultimate goal in my life is to get the maximum, this is just for me personally, the maximum amount of quality time I can with my family. It's
Right.
easier to sacrifice that time early on for the intended result than it is later, right? Because
Yep.
let's face it, I'm no spring chicken. I'm getting older. I'm pushing 40,
Uh-huh.
and I've got the new people are coming in to the job space and everything else, and I've got this education. But let's be honest, if application processes and interviews went like this, a lot different people would probably be getting the job, right?
Oh, hell
Sure.
yeah. Absolutely.
Because what are most people doing? They're looking at a piece of paper trying to decide if you're the right fit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And what are they not doing by and large?
Right.
You look at my application and you don't see that such and such university with this degree and whatever else. You might just go, we need somebody we have these preset qualifications that they have to have, right? We see that on must have a bachelor's degree, 4 years experience in the industry and whatever else.
Yep.
Guess what? I'm more badass than anybody else that you're interviewing. Nobody's going to outwork me, and nobody's going to put a better result in. So you want to fade me? That's fine, because whoever gets me and gets my time is going to get the benefit.
Right.
But we don't look at it that way. And so just kind of to take it full circle, I try to be really careful with the idea of balance, because I have found in my life when I start to use it as like hey, I just need to take some time off, I forget that what I might be trading is what I want now for what I want most.
And you have a fantastic answer. And I asked that question on purpose because the Kobe story is fantastic, but I think a lot of people interpret that the wrong way. They interpret it as, well, I just got to shoot 1,000 free throws forever until something pops. And there's no context around. So it's the opposite of what you're saying, right? It's like you need to balance, but you also need to balance being blind to everything else. Like, there's a lot of people that interpret hard work is if I do X amount of hard work, something's going to happen. And that is not the case, right? We all know this. Like, that's why we're having this conversation. But your answer is absolutely right, which is you need to find balance by defining what balance is for you and knowing what are your goals in mind. And again, consequences and sacrifices are going to have to be made to get some end output, right? So I love your answer, man. It's a great answer.
To add, my thoughts on that, Mike, because I hear what you're saying, but here's the thing: is grinding crazy hours and missing a lot for 10 years, so then you're totally financially independent and you have the rest of your life with your family. Is that a better balance than working for 40 years someplace that's soul sucking, but making sure you get your Disney vacation once every 4 years on your 2 weeks off, as long as boss says so? Like, I think that there's also a trade-off there, right? Because what Kobe did, obviously his specific story is unique, but what Kobe did was for a period of time. But I mean, dude,
100%.
you can retire from the NBA relatively young, right? Like, just in the scheme of careers, right? And so somebody that might have done that for a period of 10 years, but retires Hall of Fame, going to have deals, you're going to have all this different stuff, and now you can live life the rest of your life on your terms.
Yeah.
Maybe that is a better balance, right? But the balance was between decades, not necessarily between weeks,
Yeah. And I think
then the flip side is that, remember, he was the best, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think that it's not, that's kind of a unfair comparison, because anybody that's going to be the top of a field, if you want a Nobel Peace Prize or you want to change the world or do something that kind of level, a lot of those people, the truth is Mike, they don't have balance, but that is why they are number one. And so there's just a sacrifice for being the best ever. There's just always going to be that. But I think most people can, Pareto principle, I think the bell curve, people can find a relatively fair peace of mind in their balance.
100%. And that's why I asked the question, because I knew we would
it's
have
good.
this
It was a great answer.
I know we would have this conversation. And I think Helen's answer is the right answer in my mind, right? And this is what I concentrate and struggle with all the time is, should I spend 2 extra hours at night after streaming for 3 hours to cut more video or do more midlife stuff, or should I spend the time with the wife and the family? And it's a constant struggle we all deal with, right? But I think to both of your points, the reason why I asked the question is that people I think need to hear context around it, and you both did it beautifully.